There's a prophecy about that.
Celestial events as signs that prophecy is now being fulfilled.
Welcome to our channel. Are you ready to take a peek into what the future might hold? It's pretty mind-blowing stuff, to be honest. Seers have made some truly remarkable predictions about what's in store for us humans. And some of them are pretty mind-boggling. For instance, imagine a world where Putin becomes a global leader. Or where we can communicate with each other just by thinking. Or even where we can design babies. There are 14 incredible prophecies in total that could become a reality sooner than you might think. So, get ready to be amazed and let's dive into what the future might hold. 14. The British royal family. As we all know, Queen Elizabeth II is now dead. God bless her memory. So it was with deep sadness that the world bid farewell to Queen Elizabeth II upon her passing, as we remember the legacy of this remarkable queen who touched the hearts of millions. In the 16th century, Michel de Nostradamus was a French astrologer who made a name for himself as a famous fortune teller. Despite his controversial reputation, Nostradamus was known for his predictions that often came true. He wrote a book called Prophecies, which contained 942 predictions, many of which ended up being eerily accurate. One of his most fascinating predictions was about the British Queen Elizabeth II, who tragically passed away in 2022. Nostradamus had predicted her death, but that was just the beginning. He had also predicted that the queen would be succeeded by a king who would be quickly ousted by the people, and that this king would be replaced by a man who never expected to become king. At first, people were skeptical of Nostradamus' prediction. After all, he published his book in 1555, long before anyone knew who Queen Elizabeth was, or how long she would reign. But as it turned out, Nostradamus was right once again. Following the queen's death, Nostradamus' book, which had been largely forgotten, suddenly became incredibly popular. People were amazed that Nostradamus had accurately predicted the queen's passing, and they began to wonder if his other predictions would come true as well. Sure enough, Queen Elizabeth was succeeded by King Charles III, who was 96 years old at the time. And if Nostradamus' prediction continues to hold true, King Charles will eventually be replaced by Prince Harry, despite his previous resignation from the line of succession. This twist has left many people stunned. Prince Harry is currently away from the UK, and his resignation from the line of succession seemed to indicate that he had no interest in becoming king. But Nostradamus' predictions have a strange way of coming true, and many people are now wondering if Prince Harry will eventually be crowned king, just as Nostradamus had foretold. 13. Mars Mission. Nostradamus' book predicted the bloodthirsty regime of Adolf Hitler, COVID-19, and even the Apollo 11 moon landing mission. All these he talked about in the book, if you remember, that he published in 1555. What's even more special about Nostradamus is that many of his predictions often come in the form of poems. Now, inside that same book, Nostradamus wrote that by 2023, celestial fire will fall on the royal edifice when the light of Mars will go out. As of today, Elon Musk and NASA project that it would take about 2029 before man can land his feet on Mars. However, Nostradamus predicted that the first manned mission to Mars will happen a lot earlier than that. Also, he noted that no matter who goes first, the ill fortune of explosions or aircraft crashes may befall them. 2023 is still a long way from ending, so we never can tell if breakthrough or danger is imminent somewhere. 12. Robo-shopping. Unlike before, many of us prefer to visit either Amazon or eBay to fill our shopping needs. And by the day, this blurs the already thin line that's between online and retail shopping. Although no matter the convenience that online stores bring, some people still prefer to buy things from physical stores for many reasons. To some people, the idea behind physical shopping is to help reduce logistics costs and the waiting period that comes with returning unsatisfactory orders. Also, other people like to see their products firsthand before buying. However, future predictions threw some buzz in the mix. According to some of those predictions, we may never have to shop for groceries or anything else again. That will happen because drones will be available to deliver food, medicine, and other items on demand directly to our homes. These drones would be called delivery drones, and that future has already begun. You see, in 2006, the US government promulgated the Federal Aviation Acts that permitted the commercialization of drones. This law allowed ordinary people and corporate bodies besides the military to own drones. In 2016, Amazon released the world's first delivery drone called Prime Air. For now, Prime Air only delivers packages and orders within 30 minutes or less. But what happens in the future when our technology is much better and everything becomes so digitized that even robots have rights and get lawsuits? Well, the joke's on you. 11. Necromancy. If you said that in a couple of decades, we'd be able to speak to the dead, upload our consciousness on a computer, and have many robots moving through our blood, people would most likely question your sanity. In fact, some may say you watch too much sci-fi and you need to go out a little. But what if you get invited to Bill Gates' house twice so he can draw on your experience about the future of technology? Well, that'll make you a man named Ray Kurzweil. In case you don't know him, Ray is an inventor, a futurist, the lead engineer at Google, and a man whose work with artificial intelligence has dazzled technological sophisticates for nearly 4 decades. Not only that, he invented the flatbed scanner, the first true electric piano, and the first large vocabulary speech recognition software. Every time he delivers a speech, which he has done over 40 times now, he charges about $25,000. Now, a man like that said, in the next 30 years, we'll be able to communicate with our dead relatives via virtual reality. Yes, we know it sounds awkward, but Ray Kurzweil gave an insight into why he thinks it's possible. According to him, we'll be able to scrap human memories and duplicate them on memory drives with the help of nanobots. These memory drives will then be mimicked by AI software that will simulate the personality, voice, and even the intelligence of our dead relatives. So when you talk to these AIs, you won't even realize that you're not talking to your real families. What's even more fascinating about this prophecy is that Ray Kurzweil, as we know him to be, has been right 90% of the time. 10. Telepathy and the social network of brains. Despite the advent of texting and the internet, we humans still find it easier to communicate through speech because we believe that lowering or raising our voices is how we can be heard. Well, there's one crazy prophecy from Ian Pearson that may toss that idea out the window in the future. But first, let's talk to you about Pearson. Pearson is a British futurist who's right, about 85% of the time. About 30 years ago, he predicted smartwatches and music subscriptions that today now take the gold in its market, and that's everything we need to know about Pearson for now. About 6 years ago, Pearson made another prediction. According to him, neurotechnology will allow us to communicate using just our thoughts by 2050 to make that happen. He said that humans would need to learn how to put computer chips in our brains. These chips will allow our brains to integrate with advanced cloud computers to which other people will be connected over this quantum cloud. We can then send messages and thoughts from one another without saying a single word. So imagine being able to talk to, learn from, send messages, or perhaps be able to download another person's skills just by surfing your mind through the entire world database. This database would be called the Hybrid Intelligence Biometric Avatar, or simply HIBA. It sounds silly today, yes, but so are all the prophecies that came true. 9. Cannibals on Earth. For this one, let's revisit the prophecies of Nostradamus for the year 2023. Nostradamus in his book claimed that there will be a breakdown in the food supply chain as a result of the pandemic, which can either be due to war or climate change. According to some prophecy experts, this prophecy was specifically referring to the war in Ukraine. As we all know, Putin has placed severe blockades on shipments of grain out of the war-torn country. Because of that, the cost of food has soared in Ukraine and many are living way below the poverty line. If Nostradamus is to be believed, then people will start eating one another like cannibals to survive. For now, nothing of such has been recorded in Ukraine. But if the war continues, who knows? Well, according to some other factions, they believe that Nostradamus was referring to the Horn of Africa, where drought has ravaged for the past 40 years. Over time, food prices have skyrocketed. And coupled with the political instability going on in the region, about 36.4 million people are suffering from hunger, and almost 21.7 million require food assistance. Although in these areas, famine has yet to be officially declared, it is still projected to occur in 2023. And on this one, Nostradamus may be right. 8. Vladimir Putin, the Lord of the World. In the Rupert area of the Kojo Mountains in Bulgaria, you will find the gravesite of an old grandmother named Baba Vanga. Her real name was Angelina Pandev Augusta Rover. And during her days, she was blind right from her childhood. Despite her predicament, Baba Vanga was known as a mystic and a seer who predicted some of the most shocking events in the world. For instance, she predicted the breakup of the Soviet Union, the Chernobyl disaster, the date of Stalin's death, the sinking of the Russian submarine Kursk, the September 11th attacks, Topalov victory in the World Chess Tournament, and the tensions that are happening in North Korea today. From her past predictions, it's easy to see that Baba Vanga often sees natural disasters and warns about conflicts before they happen. Before her death, people who knew her claimed she also predicted the Russian war in Ukraine and that Vladimir Putin would become so powerful that Russia would become unstoppable. Literally, she said that Vladimir Putin would become the Lord of the world and that Russia would become the world's superpower. When this will happen, no one knows. But Baba Vanga predicted this alongside the Ukraine war. On the contrary, some other so-called mystics like her believe that Vladimir Putin would be assassinated by his own people very soon. We guess the answer to who's right lies in the near future. We can only hope that she's not right because she also predicted World War III as well. And she supposedly noted that nuclear weapons would be used. 7. Solar tsunami. As said earlier, many of Baba Vanga prophecies are usually about tragic incidents. And this next Baba Vanga is forecast to be full of further doom and gloom. According to her, a solar tsunami could take place in 2023 where the Earth's magnetic shield will be fatally destroyed. When that happens, those storms will cause blackouts and communication failure by sending electrical charges as powerful as nuclear bombs from the sun directly to Earth. If that happens, it can cause humans to move back to the Dark Ages. And some scientists argue that this prediction may actually come true. If necessary, precautions are not put in place. According to those scientists, our sun could be waking from its decade-long sleep. And this could lead to issues on Earth. For instance, one Dr. Erica Palmero noted that a magnetic filament near the equator of the sun is bustling with a huge amount of magnetic field lines. This means that it can soon erupt and send another wave of the solar storm towards our planet. If this streamer goes out, the resulting electromagnetic surge can disrupt various systems, including the power grid and GPS signals. These episodes, known as solar maximums, happen approximately every 11 years and have not been a significant concern in the past. However, with our continued reliance on technology, they can cause a major blackout that can kill millions. For now, though, it is uncertain whether the flares would explode while in the view of Earth or not. 6. No car owners. According to Benjamin Clark, a professor of planning and public policy at the University of Oregon, most people will not need or want to own cars within the next 15 years or so. As for his predictions, he believes that his words are way beyond prophecies and he is confident that he is right. In his defense, he stated that the sales of cars are plummeting around the globe. In Germany, for example, car sales slumped by 30.5% compared to the same month last year. And fewer people are buying from automobile giants like Audi, Porsche, and Volkswagen. By 2030, it is expected that private car ownership will drop by 80% in the US and that the number of passenger vehicles on American roads will go from 247 million as it was in 2020 to 44 million by that time. As well, the use of electric rideshares will be 4 to 10 times cheaper than buying a new car in 2021. This means that in the future each family could save up to $5,600 per year compared to purchasing and maintaining a traditional vehicle. Also, there will be a lot of driverless self-driving cars, which will be a lot less expensive than owning your own car. In fact, some of these may be free sponsored by corporations, though you will have to listen to ads if you want a free ride. In the future they will be called AVS or autonomous vehicles, and that future may be nearer than we thought. 5. Designer babies. In another one of her prophecies, Baba Vanga also predicted that from 2023, human babies would be born in labs where their physical appearance and character can be controlled, completely altering the process of birth. While that might sound far-fetched, we have very good reasons that this may actually become true if it hasn't been happening already. So let's tell you some recent stories you see. On February 19, 2020, a baby reportedly became the first in the world to be born after a woman's eggs were matured in a laboratory before being frozen. According to the French fertility doctors who made the breakthrough, the baby boy was born to a 34-year-old woman 5 years after her eggs were extracted as an aftermath of chemotherapy that prevented her from making more eggs. So the scientists removed 7 immature eggs from her ovaries and then used a method called in vitro maturation (IVM) to help mature the eggs in a lab. Then again, in 2022, a biotechnologist in Germany began to develop the world's first artificial womb facility. This facility lets you choose a baby's characteristics from a menu, and it is called Eco-Life. For now, the proceedings of Eco-Life are still under the question of ethics, but it hopes to grow 30,000 babies a year soon. So Baba Vanga may just be right on this one. 4. Free energy. Currently, our world is being powered by a nuclear fusion reactor we call the Sun. Unfortunately, though, it is located 150 centimeters away from Earth, and we haven't figured out a way to tap its power directly in the future. However, scientists predict that we might be able to recreate the Sun here on Earth, but to produce the energy of the Sun, you would need a nuclear fusion reactor that can withstand long exposure to very hot plasma. Even if you can solve that, another problem will be about sustaining the strong magnetic field needed to keep the plasma in place. Of course, building such a thing will be very expensive. But then again, they believe that humans would have become much smarter in the future, and we will have a lot of help from robots by that time. And our descendants would be able to produce at least 500 megawatts of power within a few hundred seconds and would be very cheap to buy. Now, the thing is, before now, many believe that this prophecy will take a long time for it to become true. But you see, different scientists from way back have been working on this, and they almost had a breakthrough. One of them is our own Nikola Tesla. In his work, he made a machine that could generate endless free energy from the empty space around us. And according to scientists today, a teacup of it would be enough to boil the ocean around us completely to steam. In fact, the power you can get from it depends on what you want. Whether you want to power a small watch with it, or you want to power the entire world. What's even more is that these systems exist somewhere in some government black site, and if it could be done, then what's stopping the prophecies about free energy from becoming true? 3. Fighting cancer. One of the most recognized theoretical physicists in the world today is named Michio Kaku. In 2021, he noted that while we currently don't have cures for horrible diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and some stages of cancer, in the future, we will use magic bullets to fight cancer using nanomedicine. That means that in the future we will be able to use individual molecules in the cells that can target individual cancer cells using nanotechnology. When that happens, the next big thing is that we will make our toilets so intelligent that they become our first line of defense against cancer. According to Michio, this will be possible because our bodily fluids contain signatures of cancer colonies of maybe a few hundred cancer cells years before a tumor forms. These colonies can take up to 10 years to grow, and you won't know it until the tumor has actually formed. According to Michio, our future generations will have the capability to make DNA chips that allow us to search for these signatures of cancer at a very early stage. So in other words, one day your toilet will tell you that you have cancer and you'd have 10 years to do something about it. That, according to Michio, means that in the future, the word tumor will disappear from the English language because we will have years of warning that there is a colony of cancer cells growing in our body. Then our descendants will wonder how we could fear cancer so much because cancer to them is going to become like the common cold. 2. The dawn of superconductivity. So far, one thing we've learned about future predictions is that the future would be a world of opportunities. It's going to be a world where ultra-fast levitating cars and trains zap from one place to another, or where carbon-free aircraft crisscross the skies. And all these would be powered by small superconductors that operate at ambient pressure and room temperature. Yeah, that sounds like Hollywood fiction, right? Well, we know, but bear with us here, because that future might even be nearer than we think. You see, superconductors are materials capable of conducting electricity without resistance when cooled close to absolute zero. These superconductors form great barriers to magnetic fields, and that means with a temperature as low as 100 Kelvin, you can power even an entire levitating train without losing any energy at all. This happens because these materials allow electrons to pair up and coalesce into a massive quantum wave that flows in coherent motion without losing any form of energy. For now, we know this because scientists have unlocked the working principle behind these superconductors since 1911. On the flip side, we still don't have enough brainpower to use them the way we want just yet, and many scientists believe that will take years. However, in 2022, a company called Klein Vision built an air car which took 30 years to complete. As of today, this flying car has been successful in all 200 takeoffs, 70-hour-long, vigorous testing, and uses just 1.6 L gasoline power. That means that the scientific prophecy about flying cars all over the world will soon become true. 1. Robo-men. Today, the science behind cyborgs is no longer a mystery, but to understand the future, we need to first understand the past, apply it to the present, and extrapolate the knowledge gained to the future. So 1 million years ago, there were different species of man on Earth, and the most advanced one of all was the Neanderthal. Back then, Neanderthals had to hunt for fruits and meat, the crude way. 10,000 years ago, modern man adapted to agricultural living to produce plentiful food. Likewise, we also managed to use science for solving health problems. As a result, we became fatter. In some areas, we became taller. And overall, of course, we became smarter. Today, we are so smart that for the most powerful computers to simulate just 1 second of our brain activity, it would need 705,024 processor cores, 1.4 million gigabytes of RAM, and 40 minutes. However, in the future, experts believe that artificial intelligence will match up to human thinking and do things that current Homo sapiens would only dream of. But so will future humans. Because then we'd have miniaturized robots called nanobots swimming around our bodies and enhancing our natural abilities. As such, our bodies would no longer be limited to what biology can do in one word. Future humans are likely to become robo-men. The possibilities of that alone are pretty incredible to think about. And with the current use of nanobots in nanomedicine and cancer fighting, that future might be sooner than we think. This is the end of the video. See you next time.